بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين أجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. First, I congratulate you for the arrival of the month of Sha'ban, and we pray that inshallah from the beginning to the end of the month we would be inshallah alert and conscious and mindful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have a small part remaining from the discussion about Qiyām, and then inshallah we start a discussion about Niyyah or intention. We had already 2 chapters about Qiyām, standing, whether it is before Niyyah or after Niyyah, because when you make your Niyyah and Takbiratul Ihram, you must be already standing. We now have what Imam Khomeini calls Mu'izziya Hasaneh, beautiful advice. Quran says, Ud'u ila sabil rabbika bil hikmati wal maw'idati al hasana. He's using this expression from Quran. The advice that he gives us is that now that still we have time, and soon, this is going to finish. One of the worries is to be surprised by death. Sometimes, you become ill, you become old, and maybe you get ready for death. But most of people, will be unexpectedly dying. And this is a very big concern, whether we are ready, we are not ready. So we shouldn't think we have, long time. As long as we have time, we have opportunity, and the path of suluk ilallah, wayfaring towards Allah, is open to us. The doors of mercy of Allah are open. You are healthy. You have some peace of mind. You have faragh, some freedom to work on yourself. We should grab this opportunity. Dunya mazra'atul akhirah. This is, Imam Khomeini says, Daru Zara is the house for growing something, and then you harvest it in the hereafter. So he says, appreciate all the blessings that you have and use them for your perfection, for journey, and benefit from the teachings of the Quran and Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam for getting rid of Hubbud Dunya. Shed light on this dark land of dunya. And he says, if we don't enlighten this land, it will little by little, or maybe sometime and quickly, it will lose its light. Shaitan tries to make it a land which is full of darkness. You lose your light of fitrah, light of aql, light of revelation, light of iman, remembrance of Allah, and you would be unable to farm or grow anything in this land, in this mazra'ah. Mazra'ah very much needs fertile land, suitable atmosphere, air, water, etc. If we don't take care of this mazra'ah or this farm, then it will turn into something that it cannot grow anything. So we have to be careful. He says one of the major tasks of the prophets and coming of the divine books and heavenly books, including Quran, was to introduce to us proper Tawheed, understanding Tawheed properly and getting rid of Kufr and Shirk. But this needs proper ibadah. You need ibadah, of course, of intellect, ibadah of heart, ibadah of organs. He says our teacher, Imam Khomeini in 40 hadith many times referred to Ayatollah Shah Abadi in very respectful way. Here also he quotes, he says, Sheikh Arif Kamil. He was a mystic, was Kamil, was perfect. Meaning he reached the highest levels of perfection for an ordinary person, for someone who is not ma'soom. Shah Abadi, Ruhi Feda. His teacher was alive and he says, may I be his ransom. Although Imam Khomeini was not a person who was, praising people, easily. He was not exaggerating, he was not, flattering. But he had such an opinion about Ayatollah Shah Abadi. So he says, our Sheikh used to say, although he was alive, but referring to the time that he was able to benefit from his lectures in Qom. Ayatollah Shah Abadi later moved to Tehran. عبادات اجراء توحید است در ملک بدن از باطن قلب. It's just one sentence, but very deep. Ibadat, acts of worship, are execution of Tawheed from deep layers of heart onto kingdom of body. One sentence. What does it mean? It needs explanation. First of all, Tawheed for us is, as you know, very important. In the book Lessons on Islamic Beliefs, I have talked about Tawheed and also in unity of God and unity in God, and said that Tawheed is not just one of 5 principles of our faith. Tawheed is Aslul Usul, is the principle of the principles. Everything goes back to Tawheed. Nubuwwah, Imamah, Ma'ad, everything goes back. Our ethics, our politics, our economy, family, everything goes back to Tawheed. Everything good is a manifestation of Tawheed. No matter how much we emphasize on Tawheed, we cannot do justice. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to say in Mecca to the pagans, قُولُوا لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهُ تُفْلِحُ. Say La ilaha illallah with conviction, with aqidah, not as a munafiq who just says and doesn't mean it. Then you will have falah and salvation. or in Hadith al-Silsilat al-Dhahab, Kalimatu la ilaha illallah, hisni, faman dakhala hisni, amina, and Ādābi. Something like this. This is the famous way it is quoted, but in Unity of God into God, we have mentioned the exact wording in the sources. So Tawheed is the foundation, the principle of the principles. And if we become truly muwahhid, we have reached perfection. Ibrahim ala nabiyyina wa alihi wa salam was a true muwahhid. He's a champion of Tawheed. He's our role model in Tawheed. Muslims, Christians, Jews should all follow the path of Ibrahim. Quran says, وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ دِينًا مِمَّنْ أَسْلَمَ وَجْهَهُ لِلَّهِ وَهُوَ مُحْسِنٌ وَاتَّبَعَ مِلَّةَ إِبْرَاهِيمَ حَنِيفًا. We are all proudly trying to follow the path of Ibrahim. Okay? So, how can you become a true muwahhid, a true believer in God, or a true unifier of God? Ayatollah Shah Abadi says, acts of worship play a great role. When you, for example, say Salat, your heart must be the main runner, the main player. Tawheed, which is in your heart, because Iman is a matter of heart. Okay? قالت الأعراب آمنا قل لم تؤمنوا ولكن قولوا أسلمنا ولما يدخل الإيمان في قلوبكم. Iman is in the heart. Tawheed is in the heart. But sometimes even the heart is not happy, is not settled, is not tranquil with Tawheed. There are some doubts, shak there. Sometimes there are traces of shirk there. I quoted for you this hadith before that Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says, Al-qalbu salim alladhi yalqa rabbahu wa laysa fiha ahadun siwah. Qalb salim, pure, healthy heart, is the one that meets its Lord while there is no one else, meaning no one other than Allah in that heart. كل قلب فيه شرك أو شك فهو ساقط. Every heart that has doubt or shirk, polytheism, is saqit. Meaning it's only Tawheed and Yaqeen about Tawheed. So having Yaqeen and Tawheed, opposite to having shirk or shak. If you have Yaqeen about Tawheed, your heart is pure, is salim. خب in ibadah we do talqeen to the heart, as we said before, make your heart understand. Also, Ayatollah Shah Abadi says, now the heart is trying to execute Tawheed in the territory of body. Eyes, ears, tongue, hands, feet. All your body, when you are praying, is under tarbiyah of your heart. Everything must understand Tawheed. Your eyes should become muwahhid. Your ears should become muwahhid. They must acknowledge Allah as the one Lord. So this is the beauty of Salat. If we can do this, then as-salatu mi'rajul mu'min. If Tawheed is in our heart and body and organs, so we are with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he says, then Imam Khomeini says, bil jumlah, as a summary, the desirable result of ibadat is تحصیل معارف و تمکین توحید و دیگر معارف است در قلب. To obtain proper understanding of teachings of religion and then making them settle in the heart. If they are settled in the heart, they will manifest in the organs. And what you need for this is that you need to gain all the shares, all the benefits of ibadah with your heart. Don't just say Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim Malik Yawm Ad-Din. Don't just say Allahu Akbar Subhana Rabbi Al-Azim wa Hamdeh at the surface. Don't just go to ruku and sujood as a superficial act. Do everything with heart. Let everything originate from heart and be guided by the heart. Put your heart in everything you do and you say, so that you can penetrate from surface into the deeper layers. Sometimes some people just swim at the surface. Some people dive into deeper levels of ocean. We need to go deeper. He says, unfortunately, there are some people that they discourage people or even stop people from paying attention to these spiritual things. They just, say, just do this, action or that action, with these, fiqh rules, and that's fine. Yes, we need to observe fiqh rules. We need to have validity or sihha of our actions. But sihha is different from qabul. If you just follow the fiqh requirements, but you don't work on your heart and you don't have presence of heart, then your salat can be valid. Taklif is, no longer applicable to you. You will not be punished while you didn't pray, but you may not gain from this for your spirituality, for your journey toward Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It may not be accepted. So he says, unfortunately, there are some people who discourage people to talk about spirituality and, be concerned about these things, and mostly talk about just actions, and then about pleasures of the hereafter or heaven, which are more about eating and drinking, and marrying in heaven, basically the same kinds of pleasures that in dunya people are normally interested in. So they want to have them in heaven for a longer period, for example. But our pleasure should not be just eating and drinking. Our pleasure should be reaching Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, experiencing Tawheed. And he says, unfortunately, we have this problem. And he says, people like me who have not gone beyond the level of, haywaniyat. So we are just acting like an animal. And even if we talk about heaven, we think about animal pleasures and animal ways of doing things, but in a different level, but it still is eating and drinking and these kind of things. He says we should not think this is the end of the story. We should know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has worlds, awalem, universes, worlds that no eyes have seen, no ears have heard, and they have not occurred to any heart. He says those who are the people of mahabba and ma'rifah of Allah, they have no attention to heaven even. For them, heaven is liqa'ullah. It was interesting that just now when we were studying Mahajjatul Bayda about khawf, we talked that what is khawful arifin. And we said khawful arifin is that there might be hijab and firaq, separation from Allah, and having a barrier between them and Allah. This is what makes an arif worried. Inshallah, when it's uploaded, you will see, inshallah, in the third session on fear. So he says, اهل محبت الهیه و معرفت الله را اعتنایی به هیچ یک از بهشت ها نیست. توجهی به عالم غیب و شهادت. They don't have any attention to the world of seen and unseen, dunya or even the other side. For them, the only thing that matters is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even if you told them about, for example, you can see the angels, you can, get in touch with the spirits of people who have died. You can, read the minds of people, for example. They have no interest. The only concern is that how can I get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? How can I please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? These things can be even distractions. Sometimes people make good progress, but as soon as they start understanding something new or they have some mystical experiences, then they are stuck there. Like someone who's traveling and reaches a point in the journey that there are beautiful sceneries, then stops, looks at them, is amazed with them, they forgets that has to continue. Nothing should distract us. Ayatollah Tehrani, rahmatullah alayh, student of Allama, the one that we studied Lubbul Lubab from him, was based on his notes from the first Dars Irfan of Allama in Qom. In his book Mehr Taban about Allama, I think it's over there. He has also Ruh Mujarrad and other books, Ma'at Shanasi, Imam Shanas. He says once Ayatollah Qadi had given some a'mal, maybe he had given different occasions, but in one of them, and said to Allama that you must not be distracted. No matter what happens, you should not be distracted from your practice, from this kind of, maybe meditations or tafakkur or ibadah, whatever it was. And Allama says that then an angel appeared to him, because angels can do tamathul. They can take the form of, for example, a human being, a bird, an animal, not pig or dog. Jinns can take even the form of pig and dog. So angels can do tamathul, like tamathal laha basharan sawi. This angel did tamathul to Allama Tabatabai, came from one side, and Allama remembered what his teacher said, didn't pay attention. Then the angel went and came from the other side. Allama didn't pay attention. Then the angel left. It is said that Allama said, I never forget the sadness on the face of that angel, because that angel was presenting himself and he had to be not distracted. So this is an example, but the reality is more general. You may have good dreams, you may have good experiences, you may have even some mystical visions, but nothing should distract you. Let alone if some other people have these things and you just want to be stuck with them. We should only focus on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Anything that can help us, it's appreciated. Anything that can by itself become a kind of barrier or hijab or a kind of a stop, that's a problem. So he says these people have no attention to dunya or akhir, to ghaib or shuhud. Only for them jannat al-liqa, the heaven of meeting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he says, if I want to mention Quranic verses or ahadith about these, then it would be out of the limits of this book. And when this much which we said, he says, was tughyan qalam. It just happened, the pen went writing, Of course, this doesn't mean that it was in vain, but this is the way that he wants to say, no, I don't want to expand. Like, Amir al-Mu'minin said in Khutbah Sheikh Shomali, after he talked, he said, هذه شقشقة حدرت ثم قرت. Anyway, so he says we stop here. And also he says when we say there are people who are like thorns on the way of wayfarers towards Allah, we don't mean great ulama of Islam and great fuqaha of our madhab. We talk about people that they are ignorant, but they appear in the form of ulama or scholars, but they have superficial understanding. And then again, he says, I take refuge with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the pen which may rebel and which may go out of control, or anything bad which might be intended. So he doesn't want to say, I am a good person. There are people who are bad people. He says we are all suffering in different ways, and with all the respect and humbleness, he says that no one should say to people that just be satisfied with saying Salat with nice qira'ah and observe fiqh ruling. That's enough. There's much more than that. There's an ocean here. Alhamdulillah awwalan wa akhiran wa zahiran wa batina. So now we finish this part. We go to the next part, which is about the secret in Niyyah, intention, and its manners. Here we have 5 chapters because Niyyah is very important. In Hadith says, An-Niyyatu asasul amal, is the basis of action. Niyyatul mu'min khayrun min amalih. We talk inshallah about significance of Niyyah. So don't be surprised that we have 5 chapters for Niyyah. The first chapter is a short chapter that we discuss tonight, is about reality of Niyyah in acts of worship. What is Niyyah? Niyyah or intention is the decision that you have after thinking about an action, tasawwur, and then evaluating, and then you say it's better to do it, and then you develop eagerness. This eagerness becomes strong and becomes a will. It's not that everything that comes to your mind you will do it. It's not that everything that comes to your mind and you know it is good you will do it. No, there are different degrees. ulama say شوق مؤکد. It should reach after tasawwur and tasdeeq to شوق مؤکد. When you have a strong eagerness for something, then you decide to do it. And it's impossible to do any voluntary action without intention. Anything that you do freely, you must think about it and then develop eagerness for doing it, and when it becomes strong, you will do it. Even if it is painful, still overall you are eager to do it. Otherwise you don't do it. For example, some people say, what about, for example, having injection? It's painful, or you want to remove your tooth, or sometimes doctor says that your leg must be cut off. It's painful. They say, okay, yes, it's painful, but overall you find that doing this is better. So you do tasdeeq that this is better, then you develop shawq, eagerness, and then when it becomes strong, so yes, because of my health, I know that I have to do this. There is pain, but overall it's better for you that you do it. So any voluntary action can only happen when you have such niyyah. And he says, if you study what fuqaha, what our mujtahideen say, you find that the niyyah that they say is a requirement for acts of worship is something that is impossible not to have when you do something voluntarily. Some people suffer from waswas, from excessive doubts when it comes to niyyah. For example, sometimes they want to do ghusl, they want to say prayer, and then they say, I cannot make niyyah. They say, one of the maraj, it's not in the book, but it is famous. They say, one of maraj in a public bath. There used to be public bath even when I went to Hose. We used to go outside a school because sometimes we didn't have, in the school, hot water. We need to go outside for taking shower. And some of these public baths were, for example, private. You had your own room. Some of them was public, in the sense that you could go to take shower, but then people are also together. It was like a swimming pool also inside, fountain. Anyway, one marja saw a person wants to do ghusl, goes into the pool or the fountain to do ghusl irtimasi, to immerse the whole body in water, and comes out, goes again and comes out. So he realized that there is an issue. He said, what are you doing? He said, I want to make ghusl, but my niyyah doesn't come. So I have to repeat. Agha then introduced himself and said, I am your marja. Now do it without niyyah. You say niyyah doesn't come, do it without niyyah. Then Agha said this, and so again he's repeating. He said, what happened? He said, I tried to do it without niyyah, but now it comes, it doesn't stop. I tried to do it without niyyah. So first his problem was that niyyah was not coming. Then when Agha said there is no need for niyyah, do it without niyyah, now the problem is that niyyah is coming. So this is because of lack of knowledge, lack of understanding. Niyyah is not something that comes or doesn't come. You cannot do ghusl without niyyah. It's impossible. Why you are there? Why you left your home and said, I should now take a shower, for example, or immerse my body. You know that you are doing this because there's ghusl upon you and you have to do it. Why you are saying salat? Why you are standing, going to ruku and sujood? You know that this is for performing your wajib or mustahab salat. We should not let these things become a barrier and drain us. It can be about niyyah, it can be about other things. Now we are talking about niyyah because our discussion about niyyah, but sometimes it can be recitation. One has to repeat again and again. Sometimes about whether I moved, I didn't move, whether I ruku, sujood, all these things, tahara. He says shaitan has different policies. Sometimes shaitan asks people to disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to commit sins. Some people listen. Some people don't listen. They say, no, I want to obey Allah. Then shaitan tries to bring again problems, tries to make them suffer from shirk by showing off. So they are not drinking, haram or eating haram or, doing haram. But shaitan corrupts their ibadah. The ibadah becomes haram, which is riyah. Or some people even don't listen to shaitan. They try to do their ibadah sincerely. But shaitan develops in them ujb, self-admiration. They say, other people are not careful, other people are not very sincere. I am good. This is a problem. Sometimes a person doesn't suffer from ujb or riyah. Then shaitan comes and through waswas tries to take them away. Because sometimes they cannot even do their wajibat. Sometimes they end up with not doing, shari requirements. Or even if they do it, they will not be able to focus, to enjoy their ibadah, benefit from ibadah. So shaitan has different policies for different groups of people. And as much as he can, he will not leave anyone except mukhlasin. So he says this is about policies of shaitan. And then when it comes to waswas, these excessive doubts, he says there are many different types of them. And he says, no one can exhaust them, or at least we cannot exhaust them now. But he says one of the strangest kind of waswas is about niyyah, something that is impossible not to have it. And people sometimes have waswas. He says sometimes, they lose saying salat on time, and it can take long time till they can make niyyah. Can you do, for example, even basic actions, like for example, when you go to shopping, can you go to shopping without niyyah? When you want to have lunch, can you have lunch without niyyah? Why you are sitting next to the table? To eat. This is niyyah. Everything comes with niyyah. Abdullah ibn Sanan says that this is in Usul Kafi. I talked to Imam Sadiq alayhi salam about a person who had problem about doubting in wuzu and salat. And I said he is a very intelligent, aqil, very wise person, but he has doubts about wuzu and Salat. Imam said, how can he be very aqil and hakim and wise if he obeys shaitan? I said, how he obeys shaitan? Because he's not, doing, any haram or whatever, obvious haram. Imam said, ask him, where does this doubt come from? He would tell you it's from shaitan. Then still he follows shaitan. So this is not aql. Yes, it's difficult. Of course, some people, this has become a kind of mental issue, mental illness for them, that it's a very complicated process. They need, therapy. It might not be as easy. But if you stop it in the first place, if you don't, listen to these doubts, then it's easy. But sometimes, for any reason, it can turn into a problem that now needs treatment. Then he mentions, for example, about wuzu. He says, we have hadith about wuzu of the Prophet which are mutawatir. What he says we can understand is that Rasulullah used to take a handful of water and wash his face, another one washing right hand, and the third handful for washing left hand, then wiping head and feet. So with 3 handfuls of water, he was doing wudu. And fuqaha imamiyyah have consensus, Shia jurists have consensus that this is enough. This is valid. Quran also, according to Zahir, says this, but in the hadith is very much clear. Then there is discussion, for example, about washing for the second time. Some say it's mustahab, but Imam Khomani says it's not mustahab, it is just jaiz, and the third time is haram. You wash it once, according to some, twice is also okay or is mustahab. But he says some people wash 20 times. Put water, and still they are not satisfied. And they think wuzu of other people is void because they don't do this much. And he says they should know that the solution for this is to compare their wuzu with the wuzu of ulama, fuqaha. If it is different from what fuqaha, ulama are doing, so he must know that he is wrong, not that they are all wrong. Should destroy shaitan by not listening to shaitan. If shaitan says, no, your wuzu is wrong, if you follow them, say, okay, if their wuzu is wrong, I want my wuzu also to be wrong. Don't listen to shaitan. In Kafi, there is a hadith from Imam Baqir alayhi salam, which says, and this is Furu' Kafi, because we have Usul Kafi, Furu' Kafi, Rawdatul Kafi. In Furu' Kafi, which is about fiqh issues, Imam Baqir alayhi salam is quoted as saying, when your doubts in Salat increase, then carry on. Don't pay attention. There is hope that it may stop. This is not except from shaitan. Or there is another hadith that Imam Baqir or Imam Sadiq, they said, don't make shaitan used to breaking your salat. If once you break your salat, then shaitan has hope that the next time you will break again, so shaitan comes again. And if shaitan gets used to it, will do his best that you keep breaking your salat. If you don't obey shaitan, shaitan doesn't come, because shaitan loves to be obeyed. If you don't obey, go somewhere else. And he says this is one of the main treatments for getting rid of satanic temptations. Just don't pay attention. Don't follow what shaitan brings to you. And then he says, if you want more hadith, you find in Mustadrak wa Wasa'il Shia itself, in the section about Khilal fi Salat, you find many of these hadiths. Okay, inshallah, we continue this discussion about Niyyah next week, bi'iznillah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.